Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ambassadors Lounge. This is our first program for the year 2025. Therefore, we wish our viewers, our subscribers, our friends, even our foes who are relentless in their criticism of Ambassadors Lounge a joyous New Year. Gentlemen, a very happy New Year, Ambassador Asif Durrani, Ambassador Riaz Bukhari.
Same to you, Ambassador Imran.
Ladies and gentlemen, on December 24th, Pakistani forces, they carried out intelligence-based strikes on the hideouts and training camps of Kharjites or the TTP in Paktia province. The Taliban, they were quite angry at this thing, and they launched a very strong protest with the government of Pakistan. But according to the spokesperson of the Foreign Office, Pakistan is committed to the security of its people. Our security and law enforcement personnel conduct operations in the border areas to protect the people of Pakistan from terror groups including TTP. These operations are carefully selected and are based on authentic and concrete intelligence. What was important was that while these strikes were taking place, Pakistan's special representative on Afghanistan, Ambassador Mohammad Sadiq, was in Kabul, and he had already met the interim interior minister and the foreign minister, and there were meetings scheduled for the following day, which did take place. The purpose of Sadiq's visit was to, number one, reinvigorate the diplomacy which had been stalled for the last 12 months, and also to impress upon the Taliban the importance of what the TTP was doing for Pakistan, our concerns about the attacks, the terrorist attacks, which were taking place from across the border in Pakistan territory, and which had resulted in a number of lives of security personnel as well as people. Now the question is, do these strikes bring an end to diplomacy? How far will this diplomacy continue? I have with me, as I introduced before, Ambassador Asif Durrani, former Special Representative on Afghanistan, Pakistan's, and Ambassador Riaz Bukhari. Asif, let me come to you. Now, these strikes, as I said, were taking place while Ambassador Sadiq was there, and they were trying to reinvigorate diplomacy. I thought that there was a disconnect between diplomacy and these military strikes. What do you think?
I think we can debate this issue, but the issue is that intelligence-based operations normally are time-bound. And when you have accurate information, only then you act. So I think probably that was the reason which, in fact, prompted our authorities to take this action. But at the same time, Ambassador Sadiq, his visit was a welcome change after, as you said, almost a gap of 1 year. And during that 1 year also, there were certain issues. For instance, the December 24th strikes were the second one in 2024. Earlier, there was a strike on 8th of March, in which, in fact, those took place as a result of concrete information. And before that, TTP had attacked Pakistan's positions.
Asif, I want to interrupt you here. You said that this was time-bound information. First of all, could this action not have been delayed? There was diplomacy taking place. He was discussing these things, absolutely these things, and then you suddenly conduct the strikes.
Imran, Taliban were fighting with the Americans, and they were also negotiating. These are the issues. We did not attack Afghanistan. We attacked the TTP positions.
But you attacked inside Afghanistan. Their positions were inside
the
Afghanistan.
problem is
and that was exactly the issue Sadiq was discussing with them.
And then the issue was that it is not to give any carte blanche to the TTP to misuse the Afghan soil. And that should be the lesson served as far as these strikes are concerned. Because it is also in the benefit of the Afghan Taliban that the TTP should not become a monster. Otherwise, it will also hunt them. And this is what is now taking place, because there are disgruntled TTP elements who have joined the ISKP, and they are playing havoc inside Afghanistan. Every second day there is some incident somewhere. And these ISKP guys, they have done they have attacked in Pakistan, they have done it in Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, they have done it in Iran and Moscow.
So you support, you think this strikes which took place, that was the right decision?
The question is, you just cannot shut your eyes.
No, you're not shutting the eyes. You tell me, was
Yeah,
this the right action?
I do. I think that these are the warning shots, which are to be told, and it is not intended.
Was the warning well taken by the Taliban?
That's again, we have
and
to
this
look at.
warning is coming again. I mean, you sent this similar warning before also. Your government top
I think
the leaders, they have been warning them again and again.
It is if the Taliban leadership don't understand that.
So you decided to attack them?
They would be doing that at their own peril. I think there comes a point where you say enough is enough. And this is the warning shot which was given to the Taliban.
Okay. Riaz, let me come to you. So following these strikes, very strong, very provocative statements were given by the Taliban leaders. In fact, the interim minister for information, Khairullah Khairkhwah, we will...
Deputy Prime Minister.
Is it? Okay.
Deputy Prime Minister, Political Affairs.
Okay. We will continue to provide refuge to anti-Pakistan militants as they are our guests. We must honor the Afghan nation's commitment to safeguarding guests. Now, this was reported by Voice of America on its Friday edition. So now we have TTP, which is obviously attacking us. They're against the system, are against everything in the country. And now we have a visibly irritated Taliban. So we face dual challenges. Do you think this military approach, which Asif said was right, which he supported, do you think that was correct?
Let me, add first that if you look at last year, 2024 only, according to one report issued by ISBR, more than 60,000 intelligence-based operations have been conducted.
Yeah.
And huge sacrifices were also made by the Pakistani defense forces and other law enforcement agencies. How long Pakistan should continue to tolerate? There is a patience. And the other thing is, you talked about, you quoted a statement of their, deputy minister about, accepting Pakistani Taliban as their guests. Where is the Pashtun Wali tradition? Then that means the Taliban in Afghanistan should be responsible. What the TTP elements are,
Pakistan.
Not only harm their interests, but cross-border terrorism. They have been accused of involving in such matters, and they have done a number of operations within Pakistan. There is a patience. I think, you asked earlier a question about Ambassador Sadiq being in Kabul and why such an action was taken. I think there was already a decision made that if situation comes to this stage, Pakistan is bound to retaliate.
Which stage?
I mean, they attacked,
Just a second, please. There was killing of personnel, 16 years.
In December, in what happened in December, how many attacks were made from the soil of Afghanistan only in the month of December against Pakistan? How many soldiers lost their lives from Pakistan side? Should we continue to tolerate such things while TTP, the Afghan Taliban, interim government in Afghanistan is doing nothing to control them? It is their responsibility first, according to the principles of the Pashtun Wali, that they should control these elements. They should not allow any element whichever is there in on Afghan side, in accordance with the Doha Agreement, they are responsible. So they have to control them. If they are not controlling, then Pakistan has a right.
Master, history has proved that use of force has never succeeded in Afghanistan.
You are right.
But
I'll come to you. Asif, Ambassador, I'll come to you. I'll come to you. I'll come to you. Yes.
My friend sitting next to me.
He's also my friend.
He is a farmer.
I know that. I know that. Thanks for highlighting it.
How many times he has taken up this issue with the authorities in Kabul?
We'll ask him. I want your
What
views
was
on
their
that.
response? If they are not acting in accordance with the Doha Agreement, then Pakistan is within its rights to safeguard its interests, particularly its international border with Afghanistan.
Ambassador, Afghanistan, Asif, Afghanistan is going to stay there. Do you think we need diplomacy more? Do you think we should give diplomacy more a chance, or we should or we should embark on these adventures?
I think no one is denying allowing diplomacy to be used, and it's being used. It's being used every hour.
For the last 12 months, it was not. It's used now.
No, for the past 3.5 years, ever since Taliban have taken over, it's being used. The issue is, let me also disabuse what our Afghan friends are saying, that they are our guests. If you want to invoke the Pashtun code of Pashtunwali, then it is the misuse of hospitality by the TTP, that they are misusing Afghanistan soil by attacking that. Because under that code, if the Afghan government or the Taliban, they are bound to give protection to the TTP people and their families, then they are also bound to tell them that they cannot misuse their hospitality. So it is not, they can't cherry pick that you tell us that it is our hospitality. So we are being hospitable. It is
As if your point of view is well taken. I'm saying, why is the minister giving this statement?
Let me finish. The issue is, either they don't want to resolve this problem, or they don't understand diplomacy. Diplomacy should not only be the preserve of Pakistan.
Okay.
It takes two to tango, and the Taliban should also realize that it is the misuse of Pashtunwali by the TTP that is causing problems.
And you can make them realize this thing by constantly interacting with them, negotiating with them, talking with them without this thing. Because what you're doing is, when you're striking them, when you're attacking their territory, you are provoking them.
In a year, 2 attacks.
Okay. Still, don't justify that by saying that in a year, 2 attacks.
This is not the way of conducting diplomacy. We are telling them, and in between from March 8 till December 24, there have been dozens of attacks came from Afghanistan. So where was the diplomacy? Where were the Afghans? Were they sleeping, or were they laughing?
You still have to continue with your diplomacy.
No, the issue is, listen, whatever, it does not stop. Even before war or after war, diplomacy continues.
Yes.
But you have to make them realize that there are certain red lines. TTP is Pakistan's red line.
Of course.
So they have to realize they cannot cross the red line. It's your take.
Okay. Now, again, coming to you. Now, Hillary Clinton famously said that you can't keep snakes in the backyard and expect them to only bite your neighbors. Eventually, the snakes will turn on you. Now, for decades, Pakistan has nurtured these Taliban. We recognized them as legitimate government. We provided them assistance. Now, the same Taliban are biting the hand that fed them. Have they become Frankenstein's monster?
Yes, they have. The question is, were we right then by supporting them? I do not subscribe to that. Why did we do that? So there comes a time where you have to realize, and there has to be a course correction. And this is the course correction. This is the time that you have to tell your interlocutors that they have to behave. They have to behave like a sovereign state. This is what my answer is.
Riaz, connecting this thing,
Yeah.
so the support of Taliban, which we have been giving from the very beginning, was it a misadventure which is now beginning to haunt us and
No,
threaten
I
the
mean,
security of our country?
Taliban too, when they took over, Kabul and forced the withdrawal of coalition forces, it was done under some agreement. I have mentioned it earlier, Doha Agreement. If you look into its provisions, Taliban and interim government in Afghanistan are bound to respect the sovereignty of the neighboring countries, which they are not doing. According to media reports, their Amirul Mominin also issued a decree of not launching any attack from the soil of Afghanistan against Pakistan. I am really surprised that the guests in Afghanistan are not listening to the
Not following the edict.
the edict of the Amirul Mominin. How come? Either there is no, instructions, directive from that higher authority, and if they are violating that authority, then Taliban in Afghanistan should take action against their guests. According to the Pashtun principle and according to the Doha Agreement, they are bound to take action against them. If they are not, then Pakistan is within its right to launch, strikes to protect its citizens and to protect its soil.
Asif, is the security of our country threatened by wrong decisions, if they were wrong decisions?
I think if you take the example of ETIM, they are hardly 200 to 300 in Afghanistan. And no attack has taken place in Xinjiang since 2015. But for China, they are still a threat. Here we are talking about TTP cadres around 6,500 as per the UN estimates. And if you include their families, they cross 60,000. So these are a threat. And threat is that it is taking place on daily basis. So some remedial measures have to be taken. We did try. In fact, in deference to the Taliban's request in the initial days, Pakistan did negotiate with the TTP. But they would not budge. For instance, they would not surrender their arms. They would not owe allegiance to Pakistan's constitution, and they were not ready to face the law for the heinous crimes they committed, including APS attack in which 146 people were massacred, including 130 students. So what are we talking about? And the question is, the Afghan Taliban, maybe they fought for their freedom, that is there. But in Pakistan, TTP is fighting for which freedom? What kind of, and they fought against the occupiers. In Pakistan, which kind of an occupation are we talking about? They cannot take the law in their hands. If they want to pursue their political agenda, there's a way, there's a constitutional way, they can join that.
Yes.
Like any other political parties, religious political parties are acting in Pakistan. So there are ways, but gun is not a solution, and no state can allow.
Exactly. Absolutely correct. Staying with you. Now, it seems that this is a never-ending war. It's very difficult to predict or even to say when this thing will be resolved, when this war will be over. We have tried various options. There were military option, then there were negotiations, then there was ceasefire with the TTP. Why are our options not working?
Well, it is not working for the past 45 years when the Soviets entered Afghanistan. We did not request the Soviets to come to Afghanistan.
Okay.
We didn't ask the Afghan refugees to come to Pakistan. Those factors were not under our control. The rest you can debate whether our policy was correct or not. We were a defender of the free world when we blocked. We tried to do that. But now, we wanted to deny them warm waters. But now we are actually anxious that if Russia can also enjoy the warm waters. Times have changed, politics has changed. So it is just not, our history with Afghanistan has not started with the advent of Taliban in Taliban 2.0. we have faced these problems. And mind you, these border skirmishes are not something new. Those happened during Zahir Shah's time, during Daoud's time, during communist time, and then even during Mujahideen time, when they had civil war. Their groups were fighting on our soil.
I'm particularly talking about Riaz, the recent, that is Taliban 2.0.
Yeah.
Why are our policy options not working? I mean, are our policies constantly changing? I mean, sometimes we say, okay, let diplomacy work. And the Prime Minister just gave green signal to Mr. Sadiq to go ahead with the diplomacy. And I mean, why can't we stick to one point?
Asif has addressed, partially this question. How I think about that, for the last, from 2001 to 2021, where coalition forces were there, occupying the whole Afghanistan. Their full intelligence network was there. How many Afghans they might have cultivated over there? How many intelligence operatives they have left within Afghanistan who might be working against the interests of Pakistan? Reason? Because, we were accused of, the double game in Afghanistan by the coalition forces, particularly by the United States. You mentioned Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State statement. It is, it conveys a lot. So I think one thing is we need to have a review of our policies vis-a-vis Afghanistan, where we went wrong. For example,
where did we go wrong? Do you have any?
For example, we hosted Afghans over here up to 5 million at a time. Almost every Afghan has lived in Pakistan. We provided them housing. We looked after them, all facilities. A large number of young people graduated from the schools, colleges, universities from Pakistan. Where are they? Nobody is speaking in favor of Pakistan to condemn.
I think they are not living in Afghanistan anymore.
No. Why they are just silent?
You mean to say those Afghans who studied here, who enjoyed our hospitality, once they have gone back, why the
pro-Pakistan lobby within Afghanistan is totally silent? Why?
I think Ambassador
we hosted the Taliban in Pakistan. Why?
You are talking about this freedom of expression while sitting here in Islamabad,
Very right.
Pakistan.
Yes.
You think that in Afghanistan they enjoy freedom of expression?
A large number of those Afghans are living outside Afghanistan, in Europe, in North America. Nobody is speaking in favor of Pakistan.
In fact,
why?
They accuse us actually.
Yes.
They say that we had to leave our country because of Pakistan. What do you say?
If that is the case, then why we provided them all the hospitalities, destroyed our whole, the economy to look after Afghan people in Afghanistan?
Because
even today, around 2 million people, Afghan people are in Pakistan.
You wanted to defend the rights or the privileges of the free world.
Yeah.
And plus, a lot was coming in?
No, obviously, there were, huge funding were coming over there.
Asif, two things. How do you compare the way we handled the Taliban with the way Iranians handled the Taliban?
There's a difference, Imran. What we face, Iran doesn't face. Along the border, there are 17 tribes divided on both sides of the border. Iran doesn't face this situation. Even if there's nothing, everything is honky-dory at the government level on both sides. The tribes, when they have their intra-tribal or inter-tribal fight, impacts, and that when they fight with each other, it impacts both sides. So Iran, and then for Iran, it was not, you can say, quote-unquote, a thoroughfare for the Afghans. Pakistan was.
Pakistan was. That's in.
So and there's a symbiotic relationship between the two, and we should not forget that also.
Now, second question. When these Taliban came, the Taliban 2.0, as Asif always calls them, there were a lot of misplaced, I would use the word misplaced, hopes and expectations, symbols. There was a lot of symbolism in everything. Exactly. There were a lot of statements emanating from our leadership. why was that euphoria, Riaz?
At that time, and even today, we are still living in the concept of depth,
Strategic depth.
We have not come out of that so far. And as I mentioned in earlier programs, when our senior official was there in Kabul, and he said that don't worry, everything will be okay, everything will be all right, and things will move. And where it has moved, we are discussing it today. And we are facing attacks, cross-border infiltration almost every day from Afghanistan.
If I can add.
Please do add.
Americans were in Afghanistan for 2 decades. You think that their wisdom, their training, their equipment, can we match that? We can't. But why they failed? They couldn't bring in quote-unquote democracy in Afghanistan. They couldn't rebuild Afghanistan. It's a failure. Afghanistan is a case which actually has been a big testing ground for all the invaders. Afghanistan has been on the crossroads. The overall psyche has been a rent-seeking approach.
Yeah, I agree. Rent-seeking, I agree with this approach.
And this is something we should understand. That. And Afghanistan even now is living under a war economy. Yeah. At least in the recent history, in past 45 years, it was the war economy which has been running Afghanistan, good or bad. Okay. Now that Taliban 2.0 is a reality for the past over 3.5 years, the poverty graph is 97% in the country, out of which 52% are actually dependent on international humanitarian assistance.
Yes, absolutely.
So
correct.
what kind of a victory are we talking about? These are, if hadn't it been the neighboring states and Russia, the regional states, we should have expected another big wave of at least 10 million Afghans coming to Pakistan. So there are many factors. It's just not in Pakistan and Afghanistan or Taliban and we are talking about Afghanistan. Taliban are today perhaps a reality. Tomorrow they will not be a reality. We are talking about Afghanistan. And that's why I think they are shooting in their feet if they don't understand the dynamics, power dynamics, as well as the power dynamics of Afghanistan itself. So they should not, when they tell us about that our history is that we have defended, we have defeated the occupiers, it's a wrong example telling Pakistan. Pakistan is not an occupier, one. Secondly, what kind of victory is this that you are begging?
Exactly. Okay, Asif, staying with you. Taliban insists that they have been relocating the TTP members away from the border and towards in Ghazni to ease tensions with Pakistan. They say that containing TTP is not a question of their commitment, but of their capacity. Should we take them for granted?
When they want to implement certain things, they do that. For instance, ban on girls' education. Perhaps that's the easy option. They can tell their people to grow beard. Yeah. That's an easy option.
The new decrees don't have windows.
This is, I think, a lame excuse. Yes, capacity is there. I fully agree. But the capacity towards development, yes, people have left. Their foreign office has got only 28 professional diplomats. The rest are mullahs, Taliban. The same is true about other ministries, professional ministries, in finance, in rural development, in industries and others. That's private. That country is facing that crisis.
It's a fact also that they have problems of capacity. Their know-how,
fine. No, but Imran, when they are quite enthusiastic in defending these TTP guys as their guests, so there's always an unwritten form code in which the guest knows his or her rights as well as obligations.
No, that's what Riaz also said. Yes.
It's everywhere. It is universal. This is not something...
But then is there not a fear that if they put too much pressure on TTP, they might move towards...
So it is all the more necessary that there should be cooperation between Pakistan and Afghanistan government. They are in a denial mode. That's the problem. They are in a denial mode that everything is honky-dory in Afghanistan, while it is not.
It is not. Riaz, what can we do to raise the cost of their non-cooperation?
No, it's not a question of raising their cost.
No.
It's a question
what can we do to raise the cost? That if they don't cooperate with us, that this thing will happen to them.
One option we have just used, intelligence-based, strikes through drones and Air Force, quite successful. Now the diplomacy, should be given a chance, a dominant chance, in fact, and there should be no surprise for Ambassador Sadiq. That is the key. He should be fully trusted when he is sent to Kabul, and he should not face any embarrassment while being in Afghanistan.
His mandate should be clear.
Exactly. And and the other thing is, we have huge number of Afghan experts in Pakistan. But as we have mentioned, nobody in the history has managed to be fully victorious within Afghanistan.
Sir, my question is, what can we do to raise the cost of non-cooperation? How can we, do you think it's possible?
Cost in terms of economic system, trade and the thing, then Afghanistan has some other options as well. So if we apply that to raise the cost, then we will be opening more doors for the interim government in Afghanistan to enhance its cooperation with our neighbors, like Iran, like India, and other countries who do not take care of Pakistan's interests. So we should be fully mindful of that.
Asif?
I agree. I mean, it is, and nothing should be done in isolation. We should capture all the factors important. And for one, I will not. Never. I will ever try to undermine role of diplomacy, because that is the main thing, and it has to be used, and it has to be applied in every aspect of our bilateral relationship with Afghanistan. But at the same time, I think it will go hand in hand. What my advice would be, bring rule of law within Pakistan's borders.
Absolutely. That's mandatory. Yes,
yeah, I just wanted to add, bilateral approach we are already adopting. We have used that. Then we should also use those countries which have established, which have accepted of interim governments, ambassadors in their capitals, like China, UAE, Saudi Arabia, to come forward and resolve this issue. I think multilateral approach will also help us to diffuse the situation.
Okay, now, gentlemen,
but let me add to this.
Please.
It's they haven't recognized the Taliban.
They have not recognized you.
So we have to be mindful.
Yes.
So we have rather all those requirements we have fulfilled, which say China or Iran, or for that matter UAE or Saudi may be doing. We have Shah affairs. He's of ambassador's rank.
Yes.
Is there? They are also called Shah affairs, whether Chinese or Russians or others.
Yes.
But the presidents received the
we can do it.
The second issue is why we have adopted this policy that we will extend recognition to the interim government in Afghanistan only when the other countries also extend recognition. We should have taken our own decision. Yes,
I think,
no?
Riaz, we did that in 1.0, Pakistan, Saudi, and UAE, but it happened.
It happened, yeah. Okay, now let's just I want to bring another actor, that is India. Now, an Indian delegation visited Kabul from November 4th to 5, and they met the interim defense minister, the foreign minister. They also met Hamid Karzai. And during their discussion, while the Afghans asked them for greater visa facilitation, they asked them to, that's the Indian delegation, asked them to use Chabahar port. And they also asked them about, they discussed humanitarian assistance and bilateral cooperation. So what we see is that India is slowly, gradually, but surely opening up to Kabul. In fact, India has also recognized their first consul in Mumbai, Mr. Ikramuddin Kamil. So, Asif, could India lead the way towards full diplomatic recognition of Taliban?
They should. They are a sovereign state, I think. But it is India which withdrew, actually.
Yes.
So they are now mending their fences with the new setup in Afghanistan. Nothing new. But if we are entertaining any apprehensions about that, what India would be doing or using Afghanistan, they have been doing that. They are already doing that with regard to TTP through the Afghan proxies. They did it right from 2007 onwards, so their links are very much intact. They are using that, and it's no secret, no more a secret. But at the same time, I think the geographical advantage which Pakistan has, India doesn't have. And that would always be the case. So India is likely to perhaps chip in financially to help those elements to play mischiefs in Pakistan. But beyond that, they can't. Let me also, having said everything with regard to military aspects and the diplomatic, these are small irritants at the moment between Pakistan and Afghanistan.
Okay.
Those can be addressed. And because having watched these scenes ever since our childhood, these are not something new. This is somehow Turburwali, cousin rivalry is playing between the two countries.
I wanted to say one thing about India. India, the original policy is to enhance and strengthen integration, connectivity with Central Asian states through Iran, and then with Afghanistan. Already there are news of some railway connectivity of Chabahar port and that is there.
Do you see India leading the way towards full recognition of Afghanistan?
I mean, I agree with what Asif has said, that that would be their sovereign decision whenever they want.
And will developing relations with India pose a threat to the ideological legitimacy of Taliban?
I mean, it's real politics. You don't look into the ideological reasoning. Or
One
you
word
have to
for
look
Chabahar.
into your.
We'll come to Chabahar. It's a full. But first of all, answer this: will it affect or will it threaten the ideological legitimacy of the Taliban? I mean, the lower Taliban, the foot soldiers, their view is different as compared to the leadership. Asif, you know better.
Well, I think leadership can play up with these foot soldiers. They have been doing that throughout, and I think they are now experienced enough, at least for the past 25 years, that they have had cadres, and those are still there. And so that is there. But on Chabahar,
this is what I wanted to ask about Chabahar, is that how is India using Chabahar positioning to build its position, to build its status as a regional power? They are avoiding traditional trade routes, embarking on new trade routes.
I think it is, let's watch with interest how Chabahar is going to benefit India. Right now it is not, because from Kandla port in Gujarat to Chabahar, to Zaranj, to Dilaram, to Kabul. It's a journey of 3,100 kilometers.
Around 3,000.
So perishables are out. Reason is it will take.
To perishables.
No, it will take 21 days to reach there, and then durables. India can't compete China, even in its own market. How they are going to compete
First of all, this Chabahar, it has become part of the international north-south transport corridor.
No, it is not.
It has.
No, it is the Bandar Abbas, which is part of the north-south corridor.
Okay, so now what is happening is that India is using Chabahar not only to connect with Afghanistan, but with Russia, Azerbaijan, Turkey, Armenia, right? So
North-south corridor.
Well, Chabahar was exclusively meant for Afghanistan and Central Asia.
Could have been, but now it is as you said, Central Asia.
But transportation cost to Afghanistan is too much. which is why their trade has not picked up.
And trade has picked up.
No, it hasn't.
Trade between Afghanistan and Afghanistan.
Let's compare
and
the
India.
figures. It has not picked up. Yes, and they only
And
sent.
what about with,
they only
Central
sent
Asian republics?
some 20,000 tons of wheat, which was donated to Afghanistan. The 30,000, more than 30,000 went through Pakistan. From Pakistan, it takes 48 hours as compared to 22 days to Kabul from Baghdad. So it's, we have to be realistic. And India will have to, in fact, decide about it, that whether they want to have smooth relationship with Pakistan and avail the transit facilities, or they want to have a circuitous
Well,
route.
they have bypassed.
Most important thing is the security. Security of transporting goods from Afghanistan through Jahabad to or receiving vice versa. The other important thing is if the railway network is fully completed, there might be some options for China as well, because they are facing some security concerns within Pakistan. So I think it's a greater picture. We should be mindful of that.
Areas Chabahar and Gwadar, they are about 170 kilometers apart. Of course, Gwadar has more capacity. Is it?
It's much better, no doubt. But I am only talking about the security issues. If you look in the terms of distance, then obviously, Gwadar is more reliable, we are more trustworthy as far as China is concerned. But I am talking, referring to some security concerns.
Yes, which
that,
is there.
Jahabad offers another reliable option to our friends. That's what I am underlining.
Anything to add, gentlemen?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, when Taliban 2.0 they came to power, there was great optimism and enthusiasm in Pakistan. It was believed that with the coming of Taliban, not only peace would return to Afghanistan, but stability would return to the region. But regrettably, this was a drunkard's hope. That did not happen. So the Taliban need to realize that they are no longer a military outfit, a militant outfit rather. They are a government. And as a government, they have certain responsibilities, particularly towards their neighbors. They cannot rely or they cannot defend their actions on the basis of certain codes which probably belong to their ethnic groups. As far as Pakistan is concerned, we should give diplomacy a chance. Military action will not always bring results. Mr. Sadiq, Ambassador Sadiq, he has been apparently given carte blanche by the Prime Minister to pursue diplomacy. We hope that this initiative will work. At the same time, it is also imperative that within the country, the political parties, the parliament, they should get together and come up with a single voice on how we should approach the situation. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope that the relations between Pakistan and Afghanistan will not end up in a no-win, no-lose situation. Thank you for watching, and we will be back for next program.